Hello and welcome back to Easy Weeknight Cooking with Heart's Desire Spice Blends, and tonight we've got something super duper yummy that we haven't shown you in a long time. And what is this? Beef Stroganoff. So tonight it's going to be a little bit more involved than usual, but so yummy. And believe it or not, this is not as hard as you might think. So what are we gonna need? We're going to obviously need some sort of a pan. This is already heating up. It's got some oil in it already. I'm gonna turn this down for a second. We're going to need 1 pound of beef in actually pretty thin strips. So 1 medium onion, of course, chopped, diced, however you like it. Cut up your onion into about the size that you prefer or your family prefers. 8 ounces of sliced mushrooms, 1 tablespoon of Slawsome veggies, 1 clove of garlic, about 3/4 of a cup of sour cream, 1/2 cup of red wine, and occasionally you're going to need some beef broth, depending on how juicy your steak really is. And believe it or not, I've been using this stuff, and it is wonderful. If you don't tend to have beef broth on hand, you can make it right there in your kitchen at need. So what are we gonna do first? We're going to start off with our beef in a hot skillet with relatively high sides. A little bit of oil is in there, and just throw this stuff right on in. Oh, hear that sizzle? Woo! This needs to go back on. I mean, we are going to brown this for just a couple of minutes. Just make sure that everything has full contact on the bottom of the pan. That's because we're going to be developing lots of flavor with, yes, the Maillard reaction causing browning on that meat will cause really great flavor later on. So you want every piece of meat to have full contact with the bottom of this pan, and just leave it there for a couple of minutes. Once you can get everything up around. So now I'm just gonna leave this be as you get everything else prepped. We're going to leave it for about a minute here, flip everything over, and then leave it again. Once everything's brown, it goes back in a bowl. And our beef tonight, this is 1 pound of beef. It's actually a roast, a chuck-eye roast. And you can use anything you like. Meanwhile, this one actually had a lot of liquid in it, so we're going to be taking all that liquid, all the liquid we can get, into this stroganoff because you want that really rich pot liquor going on. So it is time to give this a quick flip. Nummy, nummy, nummy. I did this just a few minutes ago with a pan that's right over here. And we are going to finish up everything in that pan because the way you're going to go about this, after you get your meat browned and you take it out of your pan, you're going to saute your onions and your garlic and your mushrooms in there, then throw in some red wine to glaze the bottom of the pan, bringing up all these brown bits that this stuff is left and those beautiful vegetables have left. And you're going to put everything else back in and simmer it for 15 minutes. From there, you're going to take your sour cream and put it in, and if you believe this needs a little bit more thickening, or if it simmered dry too much, then you're going to add some beef broth to bring up the moisture content. If it needs thickening, you're going to add a little bit of flour. Yes, flour. And I will get into that in just a couple of minutes. Meanwhile, our beef is nicely browned, but there's a lot of liquid on the bottom. So what do we do with that? We bring out a bowl and we pour off some of that liquid. Look at that. Who needs extra beef broth when you have all that wonderful stuff? We're gonna throw this back on the fire so we can get some browning rather than just steaming the meat. Look at that, that's a good 1/2 cup. And give this a quick toss. Once that comes back up to temperature and gives me a little bit of browning, we're gonna take this off the heat into this bowl. Just let it sit there for a while while we take care of all this yumminess right over here. I I'm gonna flip some things over that didn't quite flip. Yummy. This smells wonderful. So a lot of your Strogonoff recipes will call for salt and pepper, and that's it. Why am I using the Slawsome veggies? And that's a very good question. I use it because it makes some of the best Strogonoff I've ever had. The butteriness that comes from that beautiful mustard. You see a lot of recipes online that call for Dijon mustard, calls for thyme, calls for this, calls for that. Well, the Slawsome Veggies has it all. It's got a little extra onion, it's got mustard in it, it's got celery seed, which is a flavor enhancer that is bar none. And it's also got a good amount of pepper in it. Now, some of you guys say, but I want more pepper, Natalie. What happened to our pepper-loving Natalie? Yes, absolutely, add more pepper. The pepper-loving Natalie has not gone away. She's just learned how to cook for other people too. So this is looking fantastic. It is time to remove the beef from the pan. Would you look at that? Nummy, nummy, nummy. Look at all those brown bits on the bottom of the pan. It is time to add a little bit more olive oil to the bottom, about a tablespoon or so. Let that heat up again, and it will not take long. So then what we're going to do, I'm gonna grab my clove of garlic, and this is my favorite garlic press. A friend of mine got this for me from Favorite Chef, and it has served me faithfully for 20 years. And I do not exaggerate on that. That was a really big clove. The smells, that garlic is so wonderful. Oh, and our onions also go in there. We're gonna let the garlic and the onions just do their thing and brown for just a little bit before we even think of putting the mushrooms in there. That way we develop those flavors, we develop some of the fond on the bottom, then we throw in our mushrooms. You don't overcrowd your pan this way, which is very important for browning. One of the cardinal sins of browning is overcrowding your pan. And nothing browns at that point, it just steams, which means that you don't develop a lot of the caramelization. So we definitely want a good amount of caramelization here, which just adds to the flavor all over the place.
A few minutes later.
Now that we've got some beautiful browning here, we've got a good tawny color in our aromatics here, we can throw in our mushrooms. Now you can use button mushrooms, you can use cremini, whatever floats your boat. Different mushrooms will give a slightly different taste. So if you find that you prefer one kind of mushroom over another, it's just got more meatiness to it and just a lot more body, go ahead and use it by all means. Our mushrooms are starting to sweat. This is an excellent thing. They will give off a lot of juices. Our half cup of red wine, I do suggest definitely a red wine for this. That beef just calls for it. And you want a really robust flavor from your wine, which is one of the things that makes this dish so signature. And you see a lot of recipes that never do call for red wine, and I never could figure out why. Those smells are incredible. Now, as that wine hits the bottom of the pan, it's gonna start soaking into the brown bits on the bottom, which will loosen them up. And that is something that you definitely look for. Now I'm going to throw in the rest of our beef and all the juices. We don't want any of those juices running away. You should not need a whole lot of beef stock for this if you do it right. Now this is going to now get covered, and we're going to reduce the heat, cover this, and let it simmer for 15 minutes right after we put in the Slawsome veggies, because that Slawsome will do just amazing things as the flavors from it go into the liquids and therefore into the rest of the dish. Yum. Oh. So now we can put this aside. It's gonna get covered and simmered for 15 minutes to just really make that beef so tender. What do we have here? Is a pan where just that has been happening. Yum, yum, yum. And there is a huge difference here. Would you look at that? Oh, beautiful. You do have some liquid on the bottom of the pan here, and it's reduced really well. So if you like a really soupy stroganoff, you're gonna want to add a little bit more beef broth to this. Me, I don't think so. It is time for 2/3 of a cup of sour cream to go into this. It's going to be really wonderful. You've got a lot of concentrated flavor in the pot liquor here, and it's not terribly thick either. So we have an 8-ounce tub of sour cream here, and there we go, stirring in our sour cream over heat. Oh, would you look at that? Oh my gosh. Wow, wow, wow. Beautiful. And as for us, darlings, we are done. Would you look at that? Oh, yum. Oh. So I have here some wide egg noodles, a bowl. Gonna get me some of those egg noodles. Yum pasta. Oh. Okay, got some fresh egg noodles here. And let's dish up some of this wonderful stroganoff. Oh my word. Oh yeah, baby. Would you look at that? Is that wonderful or what? Oh my gosh. I have a fork and I know how to use it. I should hope so. So let's taste this. Now this has absolutely no salt added to it. If you want to add salt, feel free. Some of you guys can, some of you guys can't. Grab me a piece of steak there. I love that. Good and meaty. Oh yes. And you taste the sour cream, that underlayment of the red wine is just fabulous. And without your mushrooms, it would never be the same. Oh my gosh. What is that, stroganoff or what? So from our house to yours, that's a fabulous, fabulous stroganoff. And you guys definitely keep things tasty. We will see you next week. If you have any requests, feel free to either post it to our page or message me. I'm told I don't bite too hard.